Just before we get properly into this video, guys, I am trying to hit 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year, so if you could help me out, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, why not? It's free. So, on Patreon, someone suggested that I should do a Pokemon video talking about all of the different starters and which ones are my favourite. Now, at this point, Pokemon has got, what, 8 generations? I've grown up with Pokemon. It came out when I was a kid. I used to play all the different games from all the way back in the Game Boy Color days. There's going to be people watching this video who probably don't even know what that is, and if you don't, Jesus Christ, how old am I? But I must admit, I will mention when I get to the specific generations, I didn't play every single one of them, well, some of them at all. Some of them when they came out, I wasn't interested. I think I was around that age where I was like, nah, I'm too cool for Pokemon. Whereas now I'm like, I still really like Pokemon. And that includes like the last few as well. Like, I've got it on the Switch in the living room. Like, it's awesome. So we'll go in order, and I will talk about my favourite starter Pokemon from those generations. And this isn't like me saying these are definitively the best. This is just from my experience. These are the ones that I love. So we'll start off with Generation 1, of course, because it's the first. Do I need to... It's Charmander, isn't it? And this is a really tough one because all three of these I love. I think they're awesome. Every single one of them, they all have their merits. But let's be honest, Charizard is just one of the coolest Pokemon ever. Weirdly, he's not a dragon, even though he physically is a dragon, let's be honest. I mean, he's just a fire-breathing orange dragon. I mean, in the show as well, he was just a little bitch to Ash, which is what Ash deserved, in fairness. Actually, no, he didn't, because he rescued him. Yes, that's a bit mean, Charizard. Bit of a dick move. But in the games, like, Charizard was just awesome. And I think if you played the original versions of these games, as in Red and Blue, obviously there was the Japanese versions with green as well, but the starter that you picked in those games was essentially the difficulty level. So if you started off with Bulbasaur, because the first two gyms were rock type and water type, Bulbasaur has an advantage, so it's easier to get going and earn your badges quicker. Squirtle, he'll do well in the rock gym, water gym, mirror match, not going to work, whereas Charmander, he's not good against either of them. So I think playing through that game with a Pokemon that has a type disadvantage from the get-go and yet you still overcome these gyms early on, I think was awesome. Now, my personal first game was Pokemon Yellow, and in that game you had the option to use all three of them eventually. It's very similar to the actual anime, but still Charizard was the one I kept going back to, so it's gotta be him. Generation 2, the Johto region, Silver and Gold, and also Crystal, I've got to say it's Chikorita. And the reason why it's Chikorita is because Chikorita is just my favourite Pokemon in general. It's a weird one. It's not a conventional one. It is a strange choice, I'm well aware. In terms of like stats and stuff, I think Chikorita statistically is one of the worst starter Pokemon. But the main reason why I love Chikorita is because, well, mostly because of the anime. And also, when I first got Pokemon Silver, I'm pretty sure I picked Chikorita by accident. And instead of rebooting my game, instead of me caring that I picked the wrong one and was going to go back and probably pick Cyndaquil, I was like, actually, I'll stick with this. Chikorita just became one of my favourite Pokemon. Obviously, it evolves into Bayleaf and then Meganium. I do have a soft spot for grass-type Pokemon. I think that started because of Chikorita. And it was the first starter Pokemon that I had that I truly fell in love with, and trust me, you do fall in love with your starter Pokemon. You really, really do, or at least I did, and I know lots of other people do as well, but there's going to be someone who's like, nah, just trade them straight away. But yeah, there was no other option here. Moving on to the Hoenn region, which is of course Generation 3. Again, I'm going to have to go with the grass type, and I'm going to go with Treecko. Now, Treecko I did actually intend to pick on this game, and again, this is very much influenced by the anime because Ash had a Treecko. I've actually got multiple copies of both Ruby and Sapphire, and I've also played through the Omega Ruby game as well. So I do actually have multiple games where I've chosen a different starter. Out of all of them, I just prefer Treecko. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's his cry. He has got a really cool cry, actually. He was just always my favourite to play with. And not only that as well, there's like a running gag between me and my girlfriend. Like when we played Pokemon Go, there was a time where all we would see was Treecko. To the point where I even bought her a plush of Treecko because I'm like, haha, surprise, he's even really in the house now. It was funny at the time, but I mean, I think we pretty much stopped playing Pokemon Go because all we were seeing was Treecko. He's annoying, but I like him. So moving on to the 4th generation, and this is the one where I'm like, I don't fucking know. Reason being, I never played these games. Is it Diamond and Pearl? Or is it Black and White? 4 and 5, like Generation 4 and 5, I have no idea. So I've got them on my phone, so I'm just looking. They're all cute, to be fair, and I know what they evolve into. Chimchar, or Chimchar, why not? And then same sort of thing with Generation 5. I have no idea. I never played the games. I don't know how good they are. I don't know the stats. I think I've got them in some of my games, as in like the later ones where you can get them, but I just evolve them for Pokedex reasons and never properly use them. I just have the XP share on. Snivy. I mean, I'm pretty sure that evolves into like a snake thing, which is pretty cool, and I like snakes. Now, Generation 6, I did actually play Pokemon Y when it first came out because I was so excited to play it again. I can't remember why, but I just wanted to play Pokemon again. I think it had been quite a while, or at least, well, for me it had been fucking years, but I don't know how long it had actually been between the games. But to see the Pokemon world evolve from the Game Boy graphics, which it even essentially was when it first went to DS with Generation 4 and 5, but to see it bigger and, you know, more 3D and more like a conventional game as opposed to pixels, I just got really excited for it. Some of you may have noticed I haven't yet picked a water starter. Now 4 and 5, it very well could have been had I played them. However, for definite, I'm going to go with Froakie. It evolves into Greninja, a fucking ninja frog. It's like one of the coolest Pokemon ever. In terms of how cool it is, in terms of in-game, and in terms of looks, it's a shade under Charizard for me, I'm not gonna lie. Froakie, when it evolved fully into Greninja, was just sick, and as far as I'm aware, it is one of the most powerful Pokemon to use in battles and stuff like that. I could be wrong on that, someone will correct me, but in terms of like starter Pokemon, I've heard it's very, very good. I'm not really into that. I'm just more into sort of collecting and completing the Pokedex. I've never really been into the battle side of things, apart from obviously the mandatory stuff that you have to do within the game. But like the outside stuff, I don't really do it. But Greninja, I could always rely on it. Always, always, always. And plus Froakie's pretty cute. But then it evolves into like a tongue scarf frog. Awesome. So then we move to Sun and Moon. Now this was a game that I've got to admit I was left a little bit cold by. I didn't enjoy this as much as I enjoyed Pokemon Y. I think what really annoyed me about Generation 6 onwards is how much it holds your hand. Maybe that's because I'm older now and these games are obviously targeted more towards kids, or maybe it's because the games genuinely were more like a free-for-all back in the day. I've no idea. But for me, it was Rowlet. I loved Rowlet, and you guys may remember when I had the old backdrop in my old room, I had a Rowlet there because I love owls first and foremost. I think an owl is one of the most gorgeous animals ever, but not only that, it evolves into essentially an owl version of Green Arrow. For those of you who don't know, Green Arrow is one of my favourite DC comic book characters. So the fact that there's a Pokemon that has like a green hood and shoots arrows for attacks, I was always gonna fucking pick that one. Now the other two, they're fine. They're absolutely fine. There was just something about Rowlet that I fell in love with instantly. And it's probably the attachment to owls anyway, but there you are. And then last, but by no means least, well, I mean, it's the last one anyway, which is of course Sword and Shield. Now these games are significant for me at least because they're the first region that's set within the UK, which is obviously where I'm from. And it was really cool actually. It was really cool seeing a Pokemon version of Britain. However, one thing I will say is, in terms of the starters, I didn't really like any of them. Like when I first saw them, because what I do, I don't tend to pick my starter until I've seen all of the evolution. Usually I can look at, I mean, this was quite relevant for Pokemon Y or X and Y. When I first saw Froakie, I was like, meh. Then I saw Greninja and I was like, whoa, fucking hell. Okay, I'm picking Froakie. Whereas with this one, I saw the first three and I was like, these all look pretty cool. But then I saw the evolution lines and I was like, I don't really like any of these. However, the one that surprised me and the one that I did eventually pick in the end was Scorbunny. I mean, he's been my friend throughout my campaign, wandering through the streets of Pokemon England. And he's pretty cool, to be fair. I mean, I wouldn't say he's my favourite out of any of them. I definitely wouldn't. But I do really like him. I think he's been a good partner. But what I will say as well, I don't know if it's because of the nature of this game where you can properly explore and it's on the Switch as well, but I don't know. I tend to switch him out more for some of the other Pokemon that are in the region, like new to the region. So yeah, I mean, out of all of them, this is probably my least favorite, but, or at least out of the ones that I played, it's probably my least favorite, but still a good Pokemon. In the comments below though, guys, let me know your list. Like, what are your favorite starter Pokemon from each of the 8 generations thus far? And also let me know which one out of all of them is your favorite. Like I said, for me it's Chikorita, just because it's a satanic pair, but it's a cute one. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe for more. Social media and Patreon links will be in the description as always, so if you'd follow me on any of those things, I'd absolutely love you forever. But until next time, guys, you take care of yourselves, and goodbye.